up right now, pulling in 43 watts, and there's some shade right now from the trees as well as fully charged. They're 100 amp hours. Then it's going to give you an estimate on how. The biggest improvement was adding this did for me is it more than doubled. Like the left hand side, you'll see the 12. Basically, all negative leads go to that. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I just want to share some updates to my DIY solar generator. So I posted this before, but I've improved it just a little bit. I've mounted the actual inverter, I mounted the solar charge controller, and then I did an upgrade to the battery, which was a pretty massive upgrade, to be honest. So if you're coming from the front, you can see I've got my battery monitor right there. I've got some of the panels hooked up right now, pulling in 43 watts, and there's some shade right now from the trees as well as these little trees I've got next to the system. You can see the battery's fully charged. They're 100 amp hours. And then it's going to give you an estimate on how many hours depending on the draw that you're pulling. So right now I don't have any draw. But as I showed before, got the Renogy battery monitor right there. Again, a rigid toolbox. I think it's like a $70 one. Little 12 volt panel. USB 3 right there. It's kind of nice. They're illuminated. I think it's 20 bucks off Amazon or something. Pretty reasonable. And as you can see here, I've got it's a 1500 watt Cobra inverter. It is not a pure sine wave, so it's not the cleanest of power, but it'll do on a pinch. I do have a larger pure sine wave. It doesn't fit in here. I may upgrade that later. You can see the back side of that little 12 volt panel. You can see this is my solar, which is coming in from that spaghetti mess right there. That little hub goes into the solar charge controller. I think that one is 40 amps. It's the Renogy Wanderer. Down in there, I've got my AC outlets, GFCI. See the front side right here. Got a couple USB ports in there as well. I tried to weatherproof it a little bit, and of course this is not waterproof, but it's better than nothing. I don't really intend for this to be sitting out in the elements. The biggest improvement was adding the Amperetime 100 amp hour 12 volt lithium iron phosphate battery. What this did for me is it more than doubled my capacity. So if you just want to figure out the total capacity in watt hours, it's going to be 12 volts times the 12.8 volts actually, and times the 100 amp hours gives you 1280 watts is the capacity. So if you were to utilize like the normal RV battery that I was using before, it was rated at I think about 70 amp hours, but really you're only able to use 50% of those lead acid batteries, and so really total capacity is more like 35 amp hours. So pretty limited. These cost more, but in the end the amount of cycles that you get out of them really makes up for it. In the long run, it's way cheaper. You're not replacing a battery every 2 years, you're replacing it more like every 10 years. So these last at least 4,000 cycles, and probably more if you're only going to 20% discharge and then 80% charge. So it's a pretty good investment. Also on the left hand side, you'll see the 12 volt power block there as well, and you see that's a 500 amp shunt. Basically all negative leads go to that, and then it goes across the shunt. Got the control cable right there, which goes to the battery monitor, which you saw at the beginning. Small power lead for this as well. And then all negative loads go off the other side of it. So that goes directly to the inverter. And it's all coming together. So it's been a fun project. It's not perfect by any means. I think I need to add some fans going forward. And I'll just probably, the hard part is figuring out where you're going to put those, but I'll probably put one on each side and power them right off that 12 volt power supply right here, and it should be pretty good to go. So that's the progress on that. If you've got questions, go ahead and put them in the comments. If you would like and subscribe, we'd appreciate it, and hope that you're enjoying the video so far. There's going to be more to come. I'm going to be doing a much larger version in a utility trailer conversion that I'm working on as well. So stay tuned for that, and keep prepping.